Good morning. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today in this Digi Econ Global Summit. I'm very pleased also to that our organization, the World Bank Group and IFC are supporting this initiative and the initiatives from the ministry. I think we are in a really critical moment for Sri Lanka, where we have seen how the country has gone into a very deep crisis, has gone into a stabilization, and now it's going into a growth mode. And I think we need to leverage that growth. And I hope that the private sector who's here today will be able to contribute to that. I think everybody would agree with me if I say that the digital economy is critical for any country. You look at the largest companies today in the world, they're all tech companies. I mean, there is no return from that. And so the sooner that we adopt that digital economy, the better. And I think we all agree also that there is a very important role for the government to play to enable that digital economy, but the growth will come from the private sector. Okay, and so that's what we are here today to hear from government on how they are planning to enable that for private sector to come. So very, very pleased to have here a very distinguished panel of ministers and the chief of staff for the president. And let me maybe start with Honorable Minister Herat, and congratulate you, by the way, for the new strategy. But let me ask you if you can say a few words about the vision for the strategy. What does the strategy entail, and what are the main goals for 2030?
We started the acceleration of digitalization in Sri Lanka. Actually, for the past decade, we were talking about digitalization in Sri Lanka, but we worked in silos. So what we tried to do was to connect each and everything to facilitate the digitalization process in Sri Lanka. That is not only the government and also the private sector. So in 2023, with the support of the World Bank and also in collaboration with the industry and other stakeholders, the academia, we came up with the digital economic strategy for 2030. So we came up with that. And one of the main goals or the target is to achieve 15 billion USD in digital economy by 2030. That is what we started with. So under that, we had 6 pillars to start with. The connectivity. So right now we are in the process of having 4G connectivity throughout the island by 2025, end of 2025. And also now we have given the initial approval for Starlinks that will also support us. And the second pillar is skill development. What we have done is we are trying to build a workforce for ICTA and also a strong ecosystem for the startups in Sri Lanka. So this is one of the events were under that. So, and the third one is the most important pillar, that is the government digitalization. So to reduce the corruption, we talk about corruption, to reduce the corruption, to increase the efficiency of the government services, we should focus mainly on digitalization of the government. We have started many projects. We have started DPIs and digital public goods as well, and we are planning to implement more digital public goods in the government sector. The third pillar is the cyber security. So in 2022, we came up with the Data Protection Act, and it was approved by Parliament. In 2023, we established the Data Protection Authority, and this year we are planning to get the approval for the Cyber Security Act, which is drafted, and we are working on that. And also when you look at fintech, right, we are trying to increase the cashless economy in Sri Lanka. We have many programs, and we are trying to take it down to the grassroots level. And and also across SMEs and across the other industry, we have worked with the SMEs, we are working with the industry, and actually this is one of the objectives of having investment summit is also working with the industry. So that is our main objectives, and the main project which we have is the unique digital implementation of the unique digital ID, and we've got the cabinet approval last week. Hope to implement this, and this will be the base of digitalization, connecting all the government as well as the private institutions, especially the banks. And also we are working closely with the investment promotion ministry to facilitate the digital investors and to support them on this journey.
Hard work put into it, and the Ministry of Investment also worked closely with the Ministry of Technology. As you said, the digitalization of the public sector itself is a promotion of investment, because if you take the digitalization that the Ministry of Technology had taken forward within the last few months, like the custom verifications, then the health sector, and then even the logistics and etc. Especially the BOI has gone digital on their applications and even on their approvals. EDB also has joined hands with them. Customs, Ports Authority. So as you know, one major issue that we face with foreign investment is the cumbersome process of approvals, which takes quite a long time, and it's a cumbersome process. So, but through digitalization, especially like the customs and the BOI, EDB, that we are working closely with the Ministry of Technology, digitalization itself is a part of investment promotion. So we want to thank the Ministry of Technology for what they have done already. And as Honorable Kanaka stated, the digitalization plan, which goes up to 2030, will definitely support foreign direct investment. And also, if you talk about what the Ministry of Investment has to offer to this sector, we have started a new project which was started and it was stalled and it's restarted, called the Technoparks, where the government was to promote BPOs in scenic locations like Nuwara, Galle, Kurunegala. The infrastructure is already been done, and we want to try, and we had several discussions with the private stakeholders. So we want to see how we can get the tech parks in operation, and also the new project which BO has started, which is called the 100 IT companies. Excellency, the President has appointed a task force to design a new package of concessions, which would benefit the IT sector and which we can offer to them, because as it is, there is not much that we offer. Taxation is less compared to the other sectors. The thresholds have been brought down, where the threshold for BOI investment, normal, some other investment would be $500,000, but I think digital projects, we have brought it down to 150,000 threshold. And also the task force that have been appointed by Excellency the President is in the process of designing a new package of attractive incentives where we expect that we should be able to draw more digital investment into the country.
Very much, Minister. Fully agree. The World Bank has done many studies and actually projects in which it's actually proven how technology can improve government services and therefore attract more investments. And bureaucracy is oftentimes one of the main impediments for investors to actually come. So fully agree with that. Let me turn to Chief of Staff of the President, Mr. Sagala. Because we've seen a lot of reforms in the last few months. I think it's really impressive the pace of reform that has happened in Sri Lanka. And so this is the digital strategy, and the digital economy is one of them. But I'd like to ask Mr. Sagala if you could talk also about some other recent developments that you have seen and the government has put forward, which are also good news for investors. If you can talk about a few of those, please.
Going into the reforms, Alejandro, I think it'll take half a day for me to talk about all of that. But briefly, we've undertaken many structural reforms on the fiscal, on the monetary, as well as on the governance side. Fiscal side, it's to bring in the discipline, to bring in the checkpoints. Many new bills have come in. Some of the critical ones are the Central Bank Act, then the Public Finance Management Act, and the Public Debt Management. This brings, one is it makes the central bank independent, and the other two will ensure the discipline in fiscal management, as well as the debt that we take. It will be managed there. But on the other side, I think some of the more important ones we've undertaken are the governance reforms. Those mean a lot for the investors. It's to bring down or to do away with corruption. The anti-corruption law, the Seabok law, was revised. It's of international standard, and we've really gone the extra mile to make it, to benchmark it high. Additionally, by August, we want to bring in the Proceeds of Crimes Bill to Parliament as well. That will be one of the first in the region. All of this will make Sri Lanka transparent, and then we are backing that up with the new economic transformation bill that's coming to Parliament. That is a piece of art, actually. I mean, it's an amazing bill. After the GCC Act, which President Jayawardena brought in 1977 or 78, where Mr. Upali Vijayawardena was the chairman of the commission then, which really accelerated economic growth in Sri Lanka and brought in a new economy. We got to move into yet another new economy. And this the economic transformation bill, when it becomes law, will help us with that. We are still fine-tuning a few things. The World Bank has, of course, given its views. IMF has given its views. And they're all positive views that they've given. We are fine-tuning that to bring it in at committee stage. But coming to what are the areas we are trying to grow? Obviously, tourism is one of the fast areas. It's a low-hanging fruit, and we've already managed to speed it up. And now we need to go the next stage of it, which is to bring in higher-end tourism, create the message that can attract that type of tourist. Then in places like Kandy, for example, we need to create more things for the tourists to do. Minister Dilum is the only one awake after 7:13 Kandy. I don't mean to offend anybody, but Kandy goes to sleep very early. He's the only active person. Don't ask me how active he is. But we need to create that message. We need to create the activity. Even Colombo doesn't have sufficient activity. So we need to do all of that. It's not just reforms in governance. We need to create that whole story and the activity. Then we have the agriculture sector, which was completely down. It started with the very basics, like bringing back a proper fertilizer policy. And now we are moving into high-tech agriculture. We're encouraging farmers to come into it. We're having the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation supporting us with a data-driven program, which is to collect data so that farmers have access at their fingertips on a mobile phone to the data that is required, which is a very initial stage of modernization to using the more high-tech things like the drones and the various other things. But one of the most important is what we are talking about, the digital economy. The digital economy is twofold. One is what we're going to export, and the other side is the digital transformation we're trying to bring in Sri Lanka. That is, the export industry has been fairly solid in Sri Lanka. It just needs to be promoted and assisted with what the minister talked about, the concessions, the various incentives that help you to get it moving, and the training ground that is required. But it's a digital transformation which actually is going to be very key to Sri Lanka, and that is what we've been struggling with for a while. The Honorable Minister, the Secretary to the Prime Minister, the Secretary to the Ministry, we've been talking to the private sector, been talking to India, because SLUDI will play a key role in this entire thing. How do we do it? How do we stop the little boxing matches amongst the institutions in Sri Lanka and work together seamlessly so that there is all this computer language or tech language like interoperability and all of that? So that's where we finally decided we'll come up with this digital transformation agency, a digital transformation officer, or a chief technology officer. And that's the law or the bill we are working on currently, which will change, hopefully, the way we do the transformation in Sri Lanka. That's not only the DPI and the public services, but the entire gamut of things. I think I better shut up now. And if there's anything more, I can come in again.
No, I thank you very much, Mr. Sagala. No, that actually I was going to ask you a follow-up question, which you touched a little bit on it, but it's about governance. You mentioned governance, and I think when it comes to digital, again, one of the best ways to improve governance is through digital, right? So how do you think this can help Sri Lanka, both in the governance space, but also on the delivery service side, right? So how does the government deliver better services to citizens, to businesses, and then improve governance through digital?
So I think the SLUDI is going to be key in that. It is, I'm not saying SLUDI, but that infrastructure, and we've chosen to go with SLUDI, so that's why I said SLUDI. And it's got delayed due to some issues we had to work out locally, nothing to do with the partner we are working with. They've been ironed out, and now we are ready to go, move the process along. Now you take, for example, Aswasuma. Aswasuma was a social welfare benefit program we brought in to support the downtrodden during the crisis. And this is a program that we are going to continue. The critical thing here is the registry. And that getting the registry right, we won't be able to do it in one cycle. We'll probably take 2 to 3 cycles, and the World Bank has supported us on it. That registry will be key to many things. It'll be key to social welfare benefit, direct social welfare benefit. It can be key to maybe a senior citizens program that we bring in at some stage. It can be key to fertilizer subsidies, where you do away with corruption. You go directly to a wallet or a bank account. We're going right now into a bank account, but I think a wallet will make life a lot more easier for people to operate out of, especially the rural folks. Otherwise, the senior citizens will have to go to a bank and pull the money out. You put it into a wallet. They can go to the shop, and whatever is designated for groceries, they can use for groceries. What is for the electricity bill can be used to pay the electricity bills. It brings in the transparency on both sides, how the citizen uses it, as well as how we provide it to the citizen free of corruption and efficiently.
Thank you so much, Sagala. Well, I think that's a good example, actually, of how you can create a system that works through technology and then start replicating that in other ministries and areas. So very great to hear that. Let me come back to State Minister Herath on the strategy, and it's going to be key to continue implementing the strategy. And so what are some of the things that you are planning to put in place, some of the policy reforms that you're doing or institutional activities that you're doing to make sure that there is a smooth implementation of the reform and that it continues over the next few years?
Alejandro, in additional to what I mentioned earlier, the Digital Economic Policy 2030, the most important act is the Technology Promotion Act. In the morning, His Excellency the President mentioned that, and even Chief of Staff right now mentioned about it. So that is the most important thing. So under the Technology Promotional Act, we are planning to establish the Technology Innovation Council, which will advise the government on research and development, innovation, and also digitalization. And also we can look into the startup ecosystem. They will be the ones who are going to advise on the science and technology. And under that, we will be having the Digital Transformation Agency, which will mostly absorb the ICT current objectives, the mandate, and also it will look into the government digitalization process, and they will come up with the regulation and policy frameworks for the ICT and BPM industry. And also under the DTA, or it might be independent from the DTA, but we will be having the AI center where research and development and also innovation on AI will be done. So that is the most important act which we are looking forward to, and we are hoping to table it this end of this next month, and we'll be it's good if we can get the approval as soon as possible. That is the main act. And apart from that, the Committee on AI has come up with the AI strategy, and we are looking forward to the Cyber Security Act as well. The CERT has come up with the cyber security strategy. We are waiting for the cabinet approval for that. And as I mentioned, we have established the DPA, the Data Protection Authority, and it will be fully operationalized by 2025, early 2025. So, we have looked into the regulatory framework, we have come up with policies, and we have not stopped there. We have, from last year, from 2023, we have started implementing everything, especially in regards to digitalization in Sri Lanka.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. Let me turn back to the Ministry of Investment Promotion with one last question before we wrap up. So, Minister, IFC is an investor, and we know for a fact that investor confidence has been very low in Sri Lanka. After the crisis, the investor confidence really dropped to, I think, probably one of the worst times over the last decades. We have obviously bet for Sri Lanka, and we've continued investing. But there are many investors there where they're still not aware of the opportunities. They're still not aware of many of the reforms that you have just mentioned. I think this government has really done a tremendous effort in recovering, in putting Sri Lanka in the recovery path with many reforms. But from your point of view, what else do we need to do to regain investor confidence so that they can come back to Sri Lanka like they were before, even more?
I would agree with you on that, because with what the crisis, how it affected the country, investor confidence or the investor environment was brought right to the rock bottom. But as the Chief of Staff said, with whatever the reforms that the new government and the new president brought in, and I think especially finance and even the central bank, we have managed to sustain the investors who are currently within the country. There were rumors around that there were investors going out, factories shutting down. This is all false information. First of all, our task was on the instructions of the president, who is the Minister of Investment, was to sustain the investors who are already here. So we immediately engaged with them. We also have started a new unit. It is also called the IFC, but it's the Investor Facilitation Center, where they immediately engage with the investors to solve their problems which they were facing at the moment. Maybe with the banks, maybe with the state agencies. There was a ban on imports. There was a huge negative list which was brought in, which affected the investors in a big way. But now with the reforms that we have brought in, I think the only item on the negative list is only motor vehicles right now. We have managed to, which will be also taken off shortly. Yes, and all other equipment has been taken off the list. And also the IFC is a committee which contains of all the director generals of all the government agencies, where we meet on a monthly basis, and any case brought in from the investors are sorted out then and there, which I chair that meeting. And it's at the BUI. We have allocated a different separate flow for it. So we meet twice a month, and whatever current cases, that problems investors are facing because of the crisis, are sorted at that IFC, which is a temporary measure which was taken. But the total solution, as Mr. Sagar Ratnayaka said, will be the economic conversion bill, which will be, as he said, a piece of art, which will be the bill which will transform the economy of Sri Lanka into a export-orientated economy. Approvals will be made very simple. The BUI or the new commission will be authorized to have their foreign officers in their foreign office in all countries where our missions operate. Zone operations will be separated, and also the International Arbitration Center will be started, which will attract investors, especially to Port City and also to BUI, where, as you said, one area where the confidence had gone down is of the investors is where whatever projects had been taken over by the government. There had been agreements signed, but there were projects which had later been taken over by the government for certain reasons. So we are rectifying this by bringing in the International Arbitration Center, which the investors could go to without going to Dubai or Singapore for arbitration. We are in the process of appointing country representatives to foreign countries, where they could go and do a sort of marketing operation and have their mini road shows. We will be maybe in January, Ministry of Investment jointly with Technology and Tourism. We will be starting our mini road shows. We want to start from Dubai, where we will be meeting these investors, and we will be able to brief them about the new economic conversion bill, what the new packages of what the new incentives will be, and what the way forward is. So that is the plan for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, Honorable State Minister. So I think we've heard very, very positive ideas and things that are happening that would need us to think that we have to be optimistic. I think Sri Lanka has gone through a very hard period, but clearly it is in the growth phase now. There are many positive aspects that are happening that investors should be aware of, and I am very optimistic. I was optimistic at the beginning of the crisis, and I'm very, very optimistic now. And so hopefully investors will feel the same way. We've just heard of many reforms and things that are happening that will be positive for investors. So I want to thank the three distinguished panelists for a great overview of what is happening and how the digital economy can help Sri Lanka continue growth. So please, a big round of applause for our, thank you.